you all for being out here this morning, up and early, but for a good reason, because we're here to build, grow, fund, and sustain our nonprofit sector. And I just want to take a moment to welcome those of you who come from all across our two counties, both in Prince George's and in Montgomery County, to join us for our second annual nonprofit forum. Now, last year we held one in Prince George's County, and in the spirit of the collaboration that takes place between the two counties that are part of the 4th Congressional District, we're here in Montgomery County today. And I just want to thank all of you for traveling at, whatever time in the morning. I know I was coming from Oxon Hill this morning, and you get that east-west traffic, and you just say, "Go Purple Line." But it's really great to have you, and I think it's so important, and especially now. The nonprofit sector is so important to all of our communities, whether you're working on issues related to veterans or women or children or families or schools and reentry and a whole range of things that our nonprofit sector does. And in this environment where we're facing really tough economic challenges, it's even more important that you build the capacity of your nonprofit organization to work efficiently, effectively, and collaboratively in our communities. And I know this week and next in Prince George's and in Montgomery County, our county councils are making decisions about budgets, and that's going to affect tremendously the work that goes on in our nonprofit sector. At the federal level, we too, the negotiations are ongoing about what the federal budget is relative to the kinds of services that are needed in communities. And then, of course, we've just gotten through our state legislature, where our governor and our legislature have guided us through a really difficult economic time. And so what does all of that mean? Well, it actually means that we're going to have to do a lot more, serving a lot more people with, unfortunately, a lot less. But it's not impossible. And so I'm really pleased that we're joined here today also by those who are in private philanthropy and corporate philanthropy in the government sector, the public sector, to help us all do that. Now, some of you know that part of the reason that I've been very invested in the time that I've been in Congress about what is happening with our nonprofit sector is because I came out of the nonprofit sector. I remember I was thinking this morning coming around the Beltway, some of you heard me tell this story, but I worked with a group of women almost 20 years ago, sitting out actually on my deck in Fort Washington, Maryland. And we came up with the idea that we wanted to form a national nonprofit organization working on anti-domestic violence issues. We had been doing some advocacy work, but we were doing it on a shoestring, and we were mostly doing it out of our own pockets. Doing that work, we actually organized across the country to help bring about the passage of the Violence Against Women Act, which was signed into law by President Clinton in 1994. But it taught me a real lesson when we decided we wanted to start that nonprofit. You know how much we had in the bank? $1,000. $1,000. All I needed, because they wanted I was on the board at the time, and they said, "Well, Donna, you're here, and it would be great if you could head this thing up." And I thought, my gosh, I'm getting a paid job in the nonprofit sector, not paid very much, because you all know that we don't pay very much in the nonprofit sector. But I said, okay, I can do this. If we have $1,000 in the bank, it means that I can afford daycare. And that's what I needed to know. And so we started that organization, and we built it so that we had chapters in every single state and territory in the country. That we built up both our advocacy component, but also what we were doing on the service end. And we grew that nonprofit organization, which today still operates, and it operates to the tune of a budget from $1,000 almost 20 years ago to about $15 million today. And so I know that it's possible to do that, but I also know the struggles that we face when we start nonprofit organizations. Struggles of how do we build a board? How do we build a board that understands what we're doing on the programmatic end, but also knows how to raise money? How do we build a board and put systems in place for accountability? Because that's really important. It doesn't matter whether you're asking an individual for $1,000 or $5,000, or you're asking county for $25,000 or you're asking the federal government for $100,000, you have to be accountable. You have to have systems in place that allow the people who give you money to have the confidence that you're spending it on what you said that you are going to spend it on, and that you're doing that well, that you're doing it effectively. And so I understand the challenges of building that board. I also understand what it means to be a founder of a nonprofit organization, and then to realize when it's time to step aside so that somebody can take the organization to the next level. And so how many of you are founders of your nonprofits? And that's really important, but it's also important to know when to step away, when to give guidance, and when to choose that next successor leader who's going to take it the next step. And that's as important as founding the organization. And sometimes we bring different skills to an organization throughout its life cycle. At the beginning, you might meet somebody who's really aggressive and robust and has a lot of vision. And then someplace in the middle, you meet somebody who can put systems in place that can get the mechanics together. And then you might meet somebody later on who can reinvent the organization for the time that it exists. So nonprofit leaders, it's important for us to develop skills as leaders that enable us to grow and sustain an organization over a period of time. The communities that we serve also change over a period of time. I can remember perhaps it was 20 years ago when in Prince George's and Montgomery County we weren't serving nearly the diverse communities that we're serving now. That's a change, and our nonprofits have to be able to accommodate those kinds of changes. The economic times have brought about different things, and so it means that you have to have organizations now that aren't as flush in money as they may have been even 2 or 3 or 5 years ago as they are now. I also want to share with you that one of the great things that I learned running a nonprofit and then funding nonprofits is, number one, all of you probably have really, really great ideas, but you may not be the only one who has a great idea. That there are other people who maybe even have the same idea that you do. I learned that reading thousands of proposals when I ran a foundation. That people would come to me and they'd say, oh, I have something new that no one else is doing. And I was reading proposals from all across the country, and I would listen very politely. But for those of us who believe that we are the only ones who are doing the one great thing that's out there, let's disabuse ourselves of that notion, and let's look for partners who are doing similar things and figure out ways that we can collaborate, ways that we can work together, ways that we can share resources, ways in which we don't have to pay the same. Any lawyers in the room? Because some of us who run nonprofits are tired of paying the same lawyer to do the same thing for all of our organizations. So maybe we could collaborate so that we're actually sharing the cost of those kinds of administrative services, whether they're lawyers or accountants and bookkeepers and the like. That there are ways that we can collaborate that actually then enable us to have more money to put to the program and services to better serve the communities that we're reaching out to. So there are a lot of lessons, and today many of you are going to have the opportunity to go through the different tracks. You may be a startup nonprofit, you may be a mature nonprofit, you may be one of those toddlers out there, kind of someplace between startup and maturing. And on this agenda today, you're going to find something that is for each of you, and I want you to take advantage of some of the experts who are in the room. You will have the advantage today of being able to meet with people who actually give away money. Well, the first thing to do is not to ask people for the money. The first thing to do is really be passionate and explain what it is that you do and hear from them about what it is that they are interested in funding and supporting. And sometimes being a good listener is as important as being a good storyteller when it comes to getting funding for your nonprofit organization. So I hope that you all are as excited as I am about what you will learn today, and I hope that you will do what we need for all of our communities, understanding that government can't do everything, that corporations can't do everything, and that there's an important role for the nonprofit sector to fill in those gaps that government and corporations can't fill. And so thank you all very much for your energy and for being here. And at this time, I'd like to introduce for a couple of brief introductory remarks to help you understand that there's also a collaboration across county lines from Montgomery County to Prince George's County. And I know so many of our elected officials here in Montgomery County are strongly supportive of what needs to take place in the nonprofit sector. And this morning, we're joined by the chair of the Prince George's County Council, Ingrid Turner. Ingrid?
Congresswoman Edwards, thank you so much for putting on this second annual forum, and thank you for your passion, because even in those few brief moments, she's already told us so much about the nonprofits and things we need to work on today. So on behalf of the Prince George's County Council, I want to welcome you for taking the day to spend on such an important topic. I know you all have a passion about growing your nonprofits, and we thank you for your service that you provide, because as Congresswoman Edwards said, you provide such a vital source. You fill that gap, especially in Prince George's County. I'm glad to see some of the nonprofits from Prince George's County. And we want you to be able to build your nonprofit, grow your nonprofit, fund it, and sustain it. So again, I want to thank Congresswoman Edwards for putting on this forum again, because it provides a valuable information to help you grow. I want to also introduce my chief of staff who's here, Tanika Montgomery. She's my chief of staff here. And then I also want to introduce from the Office of the County Executive, because it's a partnership, and I'm so glad that LaVon Thomas from the Office of the County Executive is also here, Mr. Rashern Baker. So we believe in our nonprofits, and anything we can do to help you and continue to help you grow, we're here to serve. So welcome and have a great day.